And in just a few hours, top banking officials will face a Senate grilling on the recent bank failures. Federal Reserve Vice Chair Michael Barr, FDIC Chairman Martin Gruenberg, and Treasury official Nellie Lang, all on the docket today. Michael Barr saying, quote, SVB's failure is a textbook case of mismanagement. The overdue actions it finally took on strengthening the balance sheet sparked the uninsured depositors run that led to the bank's failure. Joining me right now is Tennessee Senator, member of the Senate Banking, Foreign Relations, and Appropriations Committees. Bill Haggerty is here. Senator, it's great to have you this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria. I want to thank you for having me. And before we start, I'd just like to say something about the tragedy in Nashville. I know you already covered it this morning, but it was just a tragic act of evil, unspeakable evil, and of course the results have been catastrophic. We're all mourning for the victims, for their families, for the Covenant Church community, and for all of our community. And I also want to acknowledge the heroism of the Nashville Police Department, who were amazing in terms of their heroism and bravery. They were immediately on the scene and dealt with, again, a very tragic situation. So thank you for letting me acknowledge that before we get started.
Well, our condolences to all of your constituents and the people of Nashville. It is a horrendous situation. What can be done now? What are you expecting? Where does this go from here?
Maria, it's a very complex set of facts that are beginning to unfold. I've spoken with Attorney General Garland. They're going to make every available federal law enforcement tool to us there in Nashville. Right now, I've spoken with the mayor, with the chief of police, with our governor. I think everybody's attention is on this, but they're trying to get to the bottom, first, of what happened, the motives there. Very complex set of facts and circumstances. We're going to be all eyes on this and try to get it addressed as rapidly as possible. But again, right now, our thoughts are with the victims, with getting the community back in order, and to bring some sort of sense of order to the investigation that's going to take place moving forward.
And we will, of course, follow it and ensure that the public knows every ounce of what you're covering in that regard. I want to switch gears and ask you about where we are in terms of the weaponization of government. Last hour, I spoke with the president for tax reform, Grover Norquist, about Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen's what he called cluelessness over who stole taxpayer IRS files nearly 2 years ago. Watch this.
They know exactly who did it. They know exactly how it was done. They had complete access, and they're not sharing with anybody who did it because this is a decision at the highest level over there.
And now, Senator, we understand that the IRS sent an IRS agent to the home of Matt Taibbi, independent journalist, on the very day that he was testifying in front of Congress. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan wrote an explosive letter to the IRS. He wants answers as to why agents conducted this unannounced visit of a journalist's home, Matt Taibbi, on the day he was testifying on the Twitter files. Jordan writes this: in light of the hostile reaction to Mr. Taibbi's reporting among left-wing activists, the IRS actions could be interpreted as an attempt to intimidate a witness before Congress. Senator, is that what the IRS was doing, trying to intimidate Matt Taibbi?
Maria, I think that every piece of evidence points exactly in that direction. This is about the weaponization of the IRS to affect and basically achieve the goals of a left-wing group that are running the government right now. On 4 separate occasions, I've directly questioned Secretary Yellen about the leak of information, of private taxpayer information, to ProPublica. ProPublica continues to leak this into the public domain. Secretary Yellen every time is averted. He basically has no answer for me. I think that Grover Norquist is correct. They do know. They're not sharing it with us. And again, this is the weaponization of the IRS. When we see what happened to Matt Taibbi on the day that he is to testify about the weaponization of government, this is just unconscionable. It's got to come to an end.
So, I mean, what are you going to do about it? This weaponization subcommittee is able to get witnesses in to talk with them, but when you've got an IRS agent coming to your home, that's a scary thing for a citizen. Have you ever before seen an IRS agent show up at someone's home?
Maria, this seems highly irregular. They could have sent a letter. They could have had someone make a phone call. They could have reached out to Matt Taibbi's, CPA to have dealt with this. Instead, to send an agent to his home, again, on the very day that he's to testify, this reeks of intimidation. And again, we've got to bring this to an end. I think that the hearings are going to bring a lot of clarity to this, a lot of visibility that's needed. Again, I'm going to continue to put pressure through the Appropriations Committee on the Treasury to get to the bottom of this, even if it requires withholding their funding.
All right, let's talk about withholding their funding, because I thought that the Republicans rescinded that $80 billion that Joe Biden wanted to hire 87,000 IRS agents. Will the Senate go along with that?
You certainly will have Republicans in the Senate going along with this. It's a complicated matter here in the Senate. As you know, we don't have control of the United States Senate. But I'm going to be very interested to see if some of our more moderate Democrats, particularly those Democrats that are running in more conservative, more moderate states in this cycle, are going to be able to stand up and side with this weaponization of the IRS, with this $80 billion of additional funding to attack middle-class Americans. I don't think it's going to play very popular in their home states, and I very much expect that some Democrats will move with us.
And, Senator, let's talk bank regulation for a moment. Your committee this morning, who are your witnesses and what do you want to find out? Are we going to see a stiffer regulatory backdrop for regional banks after this?
Well, we're going to have three witnesses before us today. The chair of the FDIC, the vice chairman of the Fed, responsible for supervision, and then the undersecretary of Treasury. I think what we're going to see is, we've already heard this from the left, is that they want to use this crisis. No one in Washington ever wants to let a crisis go to waste, but they want to use this crisis as an opportunity to push for more regulations, more legislation, when what I see is a series of failures of management, a failure of oversight, and clearly a failure of leadership at the FDIC when they allowed the auction to fail over that weekend. So what we have are poor performance, on the part of Silicon Valley Bank management, poor oversight on part of the San Francisco Fed, and an FDIC that made the decision over a weekend to put us into completely uncharted waters.
Unbelievable. Senator, we'll be watching. Thanks very much for being here this morning.
Thank you, Maria.